What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Who cares? Video games weren't out back then. It's going to be the first ever question and answer segment from Retro Pro Frank. Stay tuned. My YouTube viewers, Retro Pro Frank in the house today with you guys. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking your time out of your busy days, spend some time with me. We're going to go through some questions and answers. A couple of my subscribers has asked me some questions, so I figured, hey, do a video on it. Alright? Anyway, okay, so there's a bunch of questions here, some pretty standard questions that a few of my subscribers have asked me, so I figured what better way to answer them than to do it via video on YouTube. Alright, first question comes from Retro Ryan Crew. I think I'm saying that right anyway. And his question is, what triggered you to start collecting? Okay, Ryan, so what triggered me to start collecting was back in the day when I used to go to the flea markets and such. I always had a love for the NES. Not just the NES, a bunch of different consoles, but I always, I was more familiar with the NES back then, so I always had a love for the NES. So I used to pick up these games relatively cheap. You can see in my other videos there that I used to pick up games for like $5 back in the day from the flea market. That was a set price. Now, there's always something in the back of my mind telling me that these were going to be worth money someday. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. There's something in the back of my mind saying that to me, saying, you know what, these are going to be worth money, they're cheap now, buy them up, and I must have been young, like 16 when I started, so I started buying it up, and sure enough, I was right. Yeah, so that's the answer to that one. That's really what happened. Was I always knew that something, that some of these games were going to be worth money, and sure enough, I was right. Alright, next question is from Brad Daverson. He asked me what my take is on NES Remix. Okay, for those of you who do not know, NES Remix is like a compilation of a bunch of NES games that was released for the Wii U, and it's just like little segments. Instead of like being a full game, they give you little missions within that game. So for example, in Mario Brothers, one of the missions would be collect 20 coins. So you'd have to collect 20 coins and you go to the next round. What would be another one? Kill all 3 Koopas in a certain amount of time, My take on that is, I really enjoyed the little challenges. I actually quite enjoyed NES Remix. I got the dual pack, and actually quite enjoyed it. I think it was neat how, Nintendo, they don't forget their roots, just like Sega, for example, they don't forget their roots either. My take on it, I think it's pretty neat. It's actually pretty awesome, especially the remix parts, where you have to do stuff like the levels backwards, or it's a shadow, or it's all black. It's pretty cool to see that. My take is, yes, it's worth the money that people are asking for it, especially if it's coming from a game store new like EB Games or GameStops in the States or whatever. I do enjoy it, so that's my answer for that. Alright, next question is from Ryan Burlett. He asks, what is your take on taking old stickers on carts off, opposed to leaving it on, keeping it OG, so it's got some background stories, you see the stickers on the old carts, or to make it minty fresh? Alright, so my take on that is, it depends on the game itself, number one. Number two, it depends on what came on it, okay? For example, this copy of Bonks that I picked up, I picked this up a while ago. It did have on the back a Blockbuster Video. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's got a Blockbuster Video sticker on the back covering the third hole over here. So I guess it was a security thing that they did. to me that's fine, you know. But then there's been other games where, you know, I've gotten them and they've already came clean. I don't know if it's you know, if somebody already cleaned this up. I know where this one came from, and I know that this had the original box and manual that came with it too, and the guy split it up for me. It really depends on the game itself. If I'm going to take the stickers and stuff off. If some are like right on the actual label itself, I might try to get it off, but if I find it ripping a little bit, you know. But if there's any writing on the carts at all, like so let's say that there's some writing over here with black permanent marker, I like to use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. You know, go over it, just dampen it a little bit and just go over it lightly, back and forth. But if you go a little bit too hard, it kind of doesn't tarnish it and makes it fade on the one side a little bit, like where you used it. Other than that, if you have any stickers on the cart and you want to remove them, best thing to do is to use a hair dryer and just heat up the one area of the sticker. That even works on boxes or manuals, or even if it's directly on the sticker. If you heat that sticker up good enough, it will loosen up the glue behind it. And then once you get the sticker off, you just dab a little bit of glue gun on a rag and just go very gently, trying to stay away from the corners, okay? You don't want to put any liquid, anything, because the corners of the sticker are going to be what absorbs it the most, the easiest. So if you put a drop of water in the center, it's not too bad. But if you put it like on the corner where the edges are, that will absorb the moisture really easily. So like, you know, it depends on the game itself and how damaged, you know, how many stickers are on it. If it's just covered, then yeah, I'll try my best to take them off. Especially if you look over here, the way I have my game set up is that, you know, you see the end labels. So if there's a sticker right on the end labels, then yeah, for sure I'm removing that sticker. If it's like on the back or something, I really don't care about that. So yeah, so that's my answer to that. Alright, next question is from a Kenneth Mitchell. He asks, do you collect homebrews? My answer to that is not really. I do have a handful of homebrews, Zelda Ganon's Deception, Zelda Outlands, because I'm more of a, you know, a Zelda fan and a Mario fan. So there are a couple Mario games, but what I find is a lot of the homebrew games are extremely hard, okay? They ramp up the difficulty on it. They think somebody who's going to buy a homebrew, you know, Castlevania or something is an expert at Castlevania, and sometimes that's not the case. See, the thing is, if a game is too hard, it starts becoming unenjoyable, you know? To the game developers out there who are making these homebrews, don't go super hard, because when you go too hard and you can't get past the first level, you know, that makes the game, you know, undesirable and not fun, and it doesn't allow you to see the rest of the game, you know? I'm not saying make it super easy, but, you know, keep it at a medium difficulty, you know? Yeah, so my answer to that is I don't really collect them. Like, I don't go out of my way for them, but there are a few that I do own. The Zelda ones and the Mario ones are the ones I like a little bit better, yeah. Alright, next question is from a guy named Joe Gabriel. He wrote down, what is your favorite NES game, and what NES game will you never sell? Okay, I'm never going to sell any of these. So, but if I did sell the collection, and I had to keep only one game, I don't know if this counts, but it would be this. The EverDrive N8. This game right here has all these, the whole collection, plus ROM hacks and prototypes and European games, unlicensed games, all on this. Okay, this would be the one that I would save because, you know what, essentially this can do and take the spot of all these games behind me, and it's all on this SD card right here. It says 16 gigs, which it only uses probably about 3 or 2 even for the whole entire library. So this would be the game I never get rid of, okay? This is the EverDrive N8. If you guys don't have it, this is great, especially if you guys don't want to spend a lot of money collecting for these retro games, but you want to play it on the original hardware with the original controller. EverDrive N8, great tool. You know what, to be honest with you guys, this is sad. If I knew that this was going to come out 20 years ago, I don't know if I would have invested that much time and money into there. But I'm glad I did nonetheless. But I'm just saying, for anyone getting into retro collecting and they just want to play the game and they don't really care about spending all the extra money or spending all the extra time driving or going to conventions and stuff, the EverDrives are where it's at. They also make these for Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I actually have one for Sega Genesis. Here's my Sega Genesis version, okay? same deal, okay? This actually plays Sega Genesis Sega Genesis games, and it also plays Master System games. There's the SD right there up top, the micro, and it just gets inserted into there. And that's it. And it's got a little button here. What that button is, it took me a while to figure out what this button is on the EverDrive for the Sega Genesis here. When you play the Sega Master System games, this is the pause button. If you want to pause the game, you press this button. So yeah, they make EverDrives for the Nintendo, the Sega Genesis. They make it for the Super Nintendo, which is a little bit pricey. They also make it for the TurboGrafx. They make it for the Game Boy. And I'm pretty sure they make it for the Game Gear too. There might be a couple more, you know. I don't really know exactly, but yeah. You can go to StoneAgeGamer.com. I don't endorse them by any way, but you can pick up an EverDrive, no problem. These ROMs, hey guys, Google's a great place to find stuff. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, these would be the only games I wouldn't get rid of if it came down to it. Alright, next question is from MT Shark 7. He asked me, which conventions will you be attending this year? Okay. So, I go to a lot of local conventions. I don't know if you call them convention, more game swaps and stuff. The next one up is the Barrie Game Exchange in Barrie, Ontario. That's actually not even a month away, so I'm very excited to go to that. Usually do pretty good over there. I go to the VGCC conventions, the game swaps, and there's a bunch locally around the area. I do go to Con Bravo. I like to go to Con Bravo this year and meet Pat the NES Punk for a second time this year. That would be cool. And see his panel. I enjoy his panel. So yeah, so those are the conventions I'm going to be going to this year. And so the last question is from NES Master, okay? His question is, what's the find that originally sparked the idea of completing the collection? Okay. There wasn't necessarily a find that sparked it, okay? Back in the day, it was kind of hard to get a complete list before the internet was out. So, we were pretty much kind of guessing on what to collect, you know. I just collected the games that I liked to play and what I had fun with and what I could remember being a kid, and then I started getting more games that, you know, I didn't have. The sticker art looked cool. I was really wrong about a lot of them, but the sticker art looks cool. You put it in and it's like, what's this? So there wasn't really a game that started to spark the complete collection. I remember talking to my friend Adam years and years ago. I don't know, maybe about 20 years ago. And this was at the time when I was collecting back in the day at the flea markets here in Hamilton, Ontario, and picking up the games for cheap. And he mentioned something. I remember he put like a spark. He put like an idea in my mind. He turned to me and goes, Frank, wouldn't it be cool to own every NES game that was ever released? And I actually thought about that. I never thought about that before he mentioned that. So that kind of put the idea in my mind. So yeah, so back in the day, I must have put about 200 or 300 into my collection from the flea markets back in the day, and then, you know, taking breaks, you get mixed up with girlfriends, jobs, you know, believe me, these games were forgotten about for years. They were put away in boxes, and I always knew in the back of my mind that, you know, there's something telling me that the value would go up on these, you know. So yeah, so that's kind of what sparked it, was my buddy commenting about that. And once the internet came out, and it made it a lot easier to get a full complete list, so you know, I had a list that I was going off of, you know. And that brings me to another thing too. A lot of people are trying to collect. They're using these Android apps or these iPhone apps, like I don't know, Collection Master. I don't know what the heck they're called. But you get to check off your games, and it'll show you an estimated value of what your lot's worth, and it'll show you the games that you need. Now, I don't really like these apps. The reason why I don't like these apps for collecting is there's really two reasons. The estimated values, I'm sorry to say it, they're totally wrong, okay? I'm looking at some of the game's values, and I'm like, if I could get that game for that price, I'll pick up 5 right now. So that's one. The prices are way off, okay? I always stick to price charting on that kind of stuff, and I compare on eBay and stuff to what stuff is sold for. Another thing I don't like about those apps is, let's say that I have the game Ren and Stimpy's Buckaroos, right? So I can click that off for Ren and Stimpy Buckaroos. But let's say I have the manual for it, but I don't have the box. Now there's no additional boxes where I can click off manual or box only or card only, you know. So that kind of doesn't allow me to keep track of my manuals and stuff, which I like to collect for as well. When you start getting up in a high number, it starts getting harder to find some of the games, so you start collecting some of the manuals, some of the boxes, you know, you try to piece stuff together. You know, so I don't like that whole idea of the phone apps that try to keep track of your collection. The way I do it personally was I went and printed off a list of all the NTSC games, licensed and unlicensed, and I made sure that they were all there, even the accessories, okay? So I got about, I don't know, 10 pieces of paper. I three-hole punched them, threw them in a binder, and what I do is as I'm collecting, what I've been doing was highlighting the games with a highlighter, the ones that I collected. And let's say it had a manual, I'd write next to it with manual. Or if it was complete, I'd write down, you know, if it's Ren and Stimpy Buckaroos, I'd highlight a Ren and Stimpy Buckaroos and I put in brackets next to it, complete. Or if it just had the game in box only, I would highlight it and then I'd put down with box, you know. So that's a better way of keeping track. I know it's a little bit old school, but you know what, old school always comes up on top and old school always wins. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching this video and taking time out of your busy days and spending it with me. I really appreciate it. Okay guys, there's still that, I still got 2 weeks left on the Shovel Knight giveaway. Okay guys, I'm going to leave a link in the description below if you want to click on that video to enter in the raffle for the Shovel Knight game and amiibo giveaway for the Wii U. It's going to be shipped out totally on my bill. It's not going to cost you guys a penny, to my subscribers only, but you must be subscribed. And talking about subscribers, if you guys haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button below. I can always use all the extra support, and I want you guys to be updated on any new videos that I release. You guys are updated instantaneously as soon as I upload on YouTube, okay? I don't want you guys to miss any of this stuff, okay? Yeah, so this is Retro Pro Frank, and I'm out. Guys, thanks for watching the video. If you guys like this video, go ahead and press the like button below. And you guys can leave some comments below in the comments section of the video. Please share this video on Facebook pages to your friends and family. As well as if you guys like this video, please subscribe. This is Retro Pro Frank. Thanks for watching. I'm out.